What's up? How you doing? Yo, hey, what's up? Oh my god, I was really hoping I wouldn't have to get comfortable talking to a camera again, but it's happening, it's awkward. Let's just get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Yusuf and I'm just an average guy who lives an average life, and sometimes I like to make videos inspired by never-ending life lessons that will hopefully benefit some of you out there. So what you'll find on this channel is a whole heap of miscellaneous, albeit useful content, and if that piques your interest, then be sure to hit that big red button down below and subscribe to the channel. For my loyal fans, you're probably wondering, the short answer is I've been super busy with work, and as you can see I haven't even had the time to keep on top of my physical appearance. I mean, look at my eyes, everything is just shocking. Alas, I'm not a full-time YouTuber, so absences like this are not entirely unexpected. But I do sincerely hope that this doesn't have to happen again. Enough of this, let's get straight into today's video. Now, as you would have seen from the title, we're going to be reviewing a piece of tech today, which just so happens to be the iPad Pro 2020. I've done one tech review before and I quite enjoyed it, so here we are today. And I also thought that it'd be pretty cool to get an Apple hater's perspective on this product that so many people rave about. Before people get their knickers in a knot, I'll let you know why I consider myself an Apple hater. First and foremost, it has to be the fact that they charge exorbitant prices for pretty dated technology that is encased in aesthetically pleasing shells. Now it's like, come on, a fingerprint scanner in 2020? Come on, really? Really, Becky? The second thing would have to be the fanboys. They just repulse me. To be completely honest with you, I just don't understand why anyone would have that much loyalty to a brand. I mean, you're not my parents. Kudos to Apple, I mean, for being able to actually build this following, but if you ask me, I'm always going to choose the device that has the best specs at the price point that I can personally afford, completely irrespective of the brand. To hell with loyalty, I mean, for brands at least, come on. Lastly, I'd have to say, because I grew up with Windows and made the logical transition to Android, the way that Macs and iPhones work just irked me. And I know some of you are thinking he's just hating on the brand because it's the best and people hate on things they can't afford, yada yada. Shut up. That is not the case. And that makes you one of those fanboys that I mentioned earlier, so yeah, I don't like you anyway. So yeah, for those reasons, I'm going to be taking this iPad on a test drive and letting you know my thoughts. What I'll do now is quickly run through the key specs. So we've got the iPad Pro 2020. The screen size is the 12.9 inch. It's got 256 gigabytes of storage. It's the 4th generation, and it's the Wi-Fi only variant. Now, this particular iPad will set you back roughly $1,800. I also picked up a couple of accessories to pair with the iPad. So the first is the Smart Keyboard Folio, and that set me back roughly $350. And the second is the Apple Pencil V2. Now, this costs roughly $200, and if you ask me, this has to be the most overpriced product in the world. In total, the entire setup will set you back roughly $2,300, but I used a stack of loyalty points, so I didn't pay anywhere near that, so yeah, winning. I did go for the Wi-Fi only option. Personally, I don't understand why anyone would pay more money to be able to stick a SIM card into your iPad. I mean, if you're that desperate, just hotspot, but I mean, that's another can of worms, we won't get into that. And yeah, there really isn't too much more to the specs. It's pretty simple. So the way I'm going to structure this video, and I'll leave some timestamps to help you guys navigate, I'll start by quickly talking about why I bought a tablet in the first place, and then I'll follow with why I actually chose the iPad Pro over some of the competitors in the market. Then I'll spend about a week actually using the iPad and getting really acquainted with it, and I'll come back to you with what I actually like, what I don't like so much, and just my overall thoughts. For those wondering, this will be a pretty lightweight review. Fantastic if you're not overly techy and you're just looking for more of a generalist review. But if you're after something really techy, then it's probably best you hop over to a video made by a true geek. And when I say true geek, I don't mean it in any condescending way possible, because quite frankly, I'd love to have such an in-depth understanding of these products and how they worked, but I just don't have the time for that. Alright, first things first, why did I buy a tablet? The short answer to this is I needed a portable device to supplement my daily driver, so my laptop, which I hardly ever take out of this room, for the purposes of note-taking, lightweight activities like sending emails and communicating with people, and doing things like annotating presentations, because as part of my job we spend a lot of time looking at PowerPoint decks and just making changes and tweaks and writing notes, and so the tablet made perfect sense for my particular use case. And just to add a quick note here guys, the reason why I paired it up with these two particular accessories, being the Smart Keyboard Folio and the Apple Pencil, was I wanted it to feel as close to an actual laptop as possible. I did spend a bit of time looking at the trackpad, watching some reviews, but at the end of the day it just felt like a little bit of overkill, so I decided not to go ahead with it. Okay, question number 2. Why did I pick the iPad over some of the competitors out there? And as much as it pains me to say this, the iPad just seems to be dominating and absolutely crushing the tablet market. There's just something about the Android OS that just doesn't work when it comes to tablets, and Apple have just got the formula so right. One big thing that actually swayed me towards the iPad Pro over some of the other options like the Surface or the Galaxy tablet was the fact that they introduced the capability to use a mouse. This was a game changer for me because I personally cannot function without a mouse, and having that functionality just meant you can just do so much more with the iPad. So yeah, I didn't really spend too much time debating over the iPad or the Surface or the Galaxy Tab. It really was, I'm getting an iPad. So many people rave about it, let's see what it's all about. Alright, time for the fun part. Let's open this bad boy up, get used to it, play with it for a week, and then I'll come back to you guys with my honest opinion. I'll see you in a week's time. So you're probably wondering why I'd even bother to test the camera on this iPad, because you're right, I'm never going to use the iPad to actually take pictures, but this is for the people, because I'm sure everyone's got a family member or a relative who shows up at a birthday party or a graduation and just whips out an iPad and says, hey, let's take some pictures. And at least this way you know, if they're using an iPad Pro, the pictures will slap. And we're back. You know, as much as it pains me to say this, this iPad has literally changed my life. I'm not even exaggerating. This is bloody awesome. So I promised to use the iPad for a week and come back and give you guys an honest review. Now, what I do have to say before I dive into the things that I like about it and the things that I don't like so much about it, I'm not going to be doing this device much justice because I didn't get to exploit even 10% of the potential that this thing has. So it's probably worth me doing a more in-depth review, maybe after a month or two when I've actually utilized the iPad to its full potential. And I'm definitely hoping that there are more negative points that I can actually pick out, because as an Apple hater, I'm not going to be doing so well for this video. Alright, so let's start with what I loved about this iPad. First things first, it's actually going to be the build quality and just how good this thing feels in your hands. And I mean, it's probably something weird, right? But honestly, when I've got this in my hands, it feels like such a solid device, so well built and so sleek. It's just, I just love it. I don't want to put it down. And for me, that's a telltale sign of what's to come when you actually get down and dirty with the device. So yeah, for the build quality and the design, huge tick. The second thing would have to be the versatility of this device. Now, it seamlessly switches from doing task after task. So you could be note-taking to streaming, then doing something completely different. You could be gaming, whatever it may be. The way it handles each of these different things is just phenomenal. I mean, it's come to the point where I can do my work, my leisurely activities, literally everything that I need a laptop to do on this iPad. And I haven't even started tapping into the multitasking potential of this device. So you could only imagine, right? Let me elaborate on this point a little bit, right? So for work, I take a lot of handwritten notes. Well, I used to take a lot of handwritten notes. And these A4 notebooks, I used to fill up about one of those per month. So you can imagine, that is a lot of note taking. Since I started to use this iPad, I haven't touched the notebook. I mean, for your reference, that notebook has been living under my desk the entire week. And honestly, this alone blew my mind. I did not expect to be able to utilize this in the same manner, in the same fashion that I utilize a paper notebook. It also has a pretty lightweight version of Microsoft Excel, and for the purposes that I use Excel for, so building models that aren't so crazy, it does the job just fine. And once I've done all that, I've finished my workday, I switch seamlessly to Netflix or to YouTube, whatever it may be, jot my ideas down using the pen, which I did say was the most overpriced product in the world, but I will take that back so quickly right now. This pen right here, guys, is life-changing, and I'm so glad I bought it as an accessory for the iPad because it would not be the same without this pen. The third thing would actually have to be the real estate, so the screen size. It's fantastic, and it's a big part of the reason as to why it can do all of those different tasks so well. For someone that was seriously considering getting the 11-inch version of the iPad Pro, I didn't just dodge a bullet, I dodged a rocket. If you happen to be sitting there debating whether you get an 11-inch iPad Pro or the 12.9-inch, just stop. Get the 12.9. It's worth every extra dollar that you have to spend. I did think that portability might be a bit of an issue with the bigger iPad, but honestly, the extra real estate is just so much more worth it. So yeah, that argument is put to bed forever. I don't want to hear anyone arguing over 11 versus 12.9 inch. It's just done. The fourth thing would have to be the ease of use. Now, it is so damn simple to use this iPad. And I mean, it shouldn't come as a surprise for most people, right? Because Apple's known for making really simple user interfaces. The Apple fanboys are probably sitting there saying, duh, that's the reason we get Apple devices, is because they're so easy to use, right? Well, for me, I actually quite like the complexity and understanding the logic behind other devices and really getting to know how things work. So my going in assumption was that I probably wasn't going to take a liking to an oversimplified device, but I guess the fact that the novelty was just so strong for me just made me fall in love with it. So what else did I like about this iPad? Ooh, the battery life. The battery life is phenomenal. Now I'm talking, I used this device for probably 10 hours of note-taking, doing work, and then I just switched directly to streaming videos, YouTube, Netflix, whatever it may be. And yeah, it lasts a whole day and some. So I've used this for about a day and a half. I think I even got 2 days out of it. So yeah, the battery life is absolutely fantastic. Now it's time to actually try and pick out the faults of this iPad. I'm gonna struggle. I'm definitely going to struggle. I'm gonna be nitpicky. And yeah, take it all with a pinch of salt. The very first thing that I'm not entirely fond of is this smart keyboard folio. Now, I did have the option of getting the Magic Keyboard, but the reason I went for this Smart Keyboard Folio was because it was lighter, you couldn't really get any dust or residue underneath the keys, and you know, the Magic Keyboard was just really expensive and bulky, and you know what I mean, the device was big enough as it is, adding that keyboard onto it would just make it even more unbearable to lug around. The reason I'm not entirely thrilled with this thing is because the material smudges quite easily, and I'm pretty OCD and I don't like seeing smudge marks and thumbprints all over the cover and the backing. That's one, and the keys themselves, the typing experience isn't the best, right? And I mean, what are you going to expect? You know it's compromised, just look at it. It is proving to be a bit of a challenge going from a normal keyboard to typing on this, but honestly, after a week, I am starting to not mind it at all. So if I had my time again, would I have chosen the Magic Keyboard instead of this? Probably not, but time will only tell. So yeah, that's the first nitpicky thing. The second thing, and it's probably a bit harsh calling this a con, but the price is expensive. I mean, yes, you're going to be set back about $1,800 if you go for the 12.9-inch iPad Pro like I have in the 256GB version. Take a breath, Yusuf. But in hindsight, given that Apple overcharges for everything anyway, I actually think this is one of the devices that's actually closer to being worth it. So yeah, we'll flag that as a teeny weensy little tiny con. You know, it's really sad. I'm sitting here as a self-proclaimed Apple hater and I'm struggling to come up with more than 2 faults for this device. Props to you, Apple, you've really done it this time. I did read a few things about people saying the processing power could have been bumped up a little bit, but honestly, it all comes down to what you're using it for, right? And for my particular use case, I don't see this thing struggling. And unless you're building really robust models or doing some really intense graphic design work, there's enough horsepower in this baby to power most of your needs. Alright, time for the all-important overall rating. What do I give this 12.9-inch iPad Pro out of 10? I don't want to say it, I don't want to say it, I don't want to say it. Oh, whatever, man. If anything, I just call a spade a spade. If it's good, I'll tell you it's good. If it's bad, I'll tell you it's bad. But honestly, this thing gets an easy 9.5 out of 10. It's very rare that I'll say something actually changes my life, but this thing has done exactly that. Alright guys, that's a wrap for this video. I really enjoyed making it. It was good to get the camera back out again and start filming. I'm also super stoked about the purchase and I just can't wait to continue using this iPad because I know it's going to make my life that much more enjoyable. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've got some good content planned for you guys. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.